Good evening, everyone. The meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, would you please read the adequate notice of compliance statement?
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the City Clerk's Office in preparation of the Council Annual Meeting Notice dated January 8, 2018, which was properly distributed and posted per statutory requirements. Please be advised that fire exits are to my right, your left, and at the back of the room. The city has a listening system to assist the hearing impaired. If anyone needs hearing assistance, please obtain the system at the dais and return it thereafter.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Ms. Fox? Here. Mr. Gould?
Here.
Ms. Little?
Here.
Mr. McTiernan?
Here.
Ms. Ogden?
Here.
President Naidoo?
Here. Okay, now I'd like to call on Vivian Furman and Estelle Fournier to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, would you please read the notices regarding closed session and hearings and comments?
A closed session meeting as authorized by state statute was announced and held prior to the start of this meeting, and the known items for discussion were listed on the published closed session agenda. Please be advised that council meetings are broadcast live on Comcast 36 and on Verizon 33, and rebroadcast on Thursdays and Saturdays on Hometown TV, also on Comcast Channel 36 and Verizon 33. When invited to speak, please come to the lectern, clearly state your name and address, spell your last name, and speak into the podium microphone so that your comments can be understood by all and properly recorded. Whenever an audience or council member reads from a prepared statement, please give or email a copy to the City Clerk's Office at rlicatis@cityofsummit.org. To help facilitate an orderly meeting and to permit all to be heard, speakers are asked to limit their comments to approximately 3 minutes or so in length. Unless you are using an electronic device to follow the meeting agenda or need it for professional emergency contact purposes, please turn it off. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, on to minutes for approval. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of regular and closed session of April 3rd, 2018?
I move to approve them.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay. Down to reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Council President. Good evening, everyone. The City of Summit 12th Annual Earth Day Cleanup is being held this Saturday at the 21st of April from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at various locations throughout the city. Walk-ins are welcome at Bryant Park and Martinsbrook Park. To register a group, please email the Environmental Commission Chairperson, Beth Lovejoy, at beth.t.lovejoy@gmail.com. Participants are asked to bring work gloves and a beverage in a reusable container. Bags for collecting trash and recycling will be provided. Community service hours are available. More information is available at the cityofsummit.org website. The next Summit Free Market dates are Saturdays, April 28 and May 5, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Summit Transfer Station, 40 New Providence Avenue. As you know, these are well attended. You barely get your car pulled in before folks are looking for stuff to take, and everyone else is finding other things, so it's great. So please bring yard sale quality reusable items to share and take whatever you want or need. It's all free. We signed the agreement with the Summit Conservancy at the last Common Council meeting. Well, actually, we didn't sign it, we approved it. Then I signed it on Monday. And I will let you know when we have a date to break ground. My next Meet the Mayor event is next Saturday, April 28th, from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at Magic Fountain on Morris Avenue. If you have not stopped by during one of my Meet the Mayor events, please do. I enjoy meeting residents and business owners, and I like to hear your thoughts and concerns. If it is a rainy day, I will be across the street at Marco Polo. And lastly, Tuesday, May 15th is the last day to register to vote for the Tuesday, June 5, 2018 primary election. The City Clerk's office will have extended hours from 8:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. for in-person applications. For vote by mail and other primary election information, please visit thecityofsummit.org. And that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And now to our Administrator, Michael Rogers.
Thank you,
Michael.
Council President. Good evening. I'll be brief this evening. Just one note from Community Services. Curbside leaf collection of leaves only began on Monday, April 9th, and will continue through Friday, April 27th. DPW will collect bag leaves on regularly scheduled trash pickup dates. Leaves must be placed in biodegradable brown bags and placed at the curb. The Summit PAL and Department of Community Programs Pet Show is next Saturday, April 28th on the Summit Village Green. Registration begins at 1 p.m. and judging begins at 1:30. For more information, please visit summitcommunityprograms.com. Mark your calendar, the Leveling the Playing Field. New and used sports equipment drive is Saturday, May 5th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Soldiers Memorial Field. Leveling the Playing Field gives underprivileged children the opportunity to enjoy the mental and physical benefits of youth sports participation through the donation of used and excess sporting equipment to programs and schools serving low-income communities. And lastly, the PAL Fishing Derby is scheduled Saturday, May 5th and Sunday, May 6th from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Summit Municipal Golf Course. Bring your own rod and reel, free hot dogs, and soda will be provided. And that's all I have for this evening, Council President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael. And I don't have anything to add to these reports as Council President. All I would say is I'm hoping one of these days actually spring will arrive and one of these council meetings will not be either rainy or cold or snowy. But we'll see. So with that, we're going to move on to presentations. And tonight we have a presentation from the Mayor's Partnership for the Public Arts. And I ask the co-chairs, Vivian Furman and Estelle Fournier, to come up and give their presentation. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Vivian Furman Rubin, F-U-R-M-A-N-R-U-B-I-N, no hyphen, 10 Fernwood Road, in the wonderful city of Summit.
And I am Estelle Fournier. I'm the co-chair with Vivian, and I live on 115 Maple Street.
So here we are. We're here to talk about Summit Public Art, and I'm sure that you all know our mission, but I'll tell you again anyway. Our mission is to bring art to public spaces in Summit, and we have been doing it for almost 15 full years now, so it's quite a while. Over the years, we've tried assorted strategies to showcase our art pieces, and around 5 years ago, we came up with a strategy that we have been using for the last 5 years, which we think optimizes the works. Every year, we install 7 temporary works of art in the downtown area within a 1-mile radius. And for your information, those locations, we have 10 dedicated locations, of which we utilize 7. Those locations are City Hall, Cow Sway, the Promenade, the Lyric Trellis, and the Pocket Park adjacent to the Lyric Trellis on Beechwood, the various quadrants on the Village Green, and the library. And we have also gotten the opportunity to use the Summit Y lately. We just feel that this creates a very nice art experience for people as they go about their business in town, whether they're walking or driving. And let's see, Estelle has put up some photographs of pictures of pieces that are currently installed. These are our flowers near the train station by Gins Grinberg's, and they're really quite lovely. They're fun to walk up to and look up at them. Let's see. Okay, this is Hector and Andromache, 2 beautiful pieces that reference the Trojan War. And shortly, there will be another piece located right near these 2 lovely bronze pieces installed by Tadashi Hashimoto. It's a large blue cube, 5.5 feet in diameter. Unfortunately, he was ill, so he couldn't install it in the fall. There it is. But it will be coming next week. So we're very happy about that. If you could please. Okay. I'm going to let Estelle speak to this. But I just want to let you know that we are currently involved in identifying the new 7 pieces that will be coming to Summit in the summer and fall of this year.
And I'm going to talk to you about a new initiative we started this year, which is called Ramp Up. It's an educational program that was built specifically for Summit High School students. Ramp Up is Rising Artists Mentorship Program, where Summit High School students work with a teaching artist in conceiving, building, and installing a public art installation. So the program started in February. We identified 8 Summit High School students with the help of the 2 high school student art teacher, Mrs. Kozari and Mrs. Wright. We selected an artist, Dan Fenelon, which is an artist based in Morristown, who has extensive experience working in community art project. He's worked with the Montclair Art Museum, and he actually was recently commissioned by Atlantic Health to do a large mural for them. So there was a first session in February at Summit High School. There's going to be a total of 8 sessions with a student at the high school, a studio visit, and will culminate with an art installation. And the markup that you saw earlier was something like that, but with an art installation in late May and early June. So we're very excited. We raised funds for that initiative at our last gala, and the reception by the Summit High School students have been very positive. I talked to the artists today, and they say they're very excited and working very hard on their project. So we're looking forward to that, and hopefully the mayor will come for a ribbon cutting celebration.
So another new initiative for the near future involves outdoor wall murals. And this idea arose out of a discussion that Estelle and I had with Aaron Schrager, the wonderful city engineer who's been so supportive of Summit Public Art, as has Paul Casquet. We've identified 2 great buildings, and the owners of those buildings are really excited about having murals painted on their walls. One of the buildings is the back of the Regal Bank, above the Lyric Trellis and overlooking the little pocket park and the parking lot, where we currently have this mural by Paul Santaleri. So it'll be above that. And the other wall is directly behind our iconic Summit Diner on Summit Avenue. We're in the process of, so now this is another piece we just had removed from, these are pieces that are in town now. We're just backtracking a little bit. Okay. Did you put up the mural? Is the mural piece coming? Okay, so we are in the process of identifying artists. When we see a mural that we really like, we get the artist's name and we contact them. And in addition, we're sending out a call for artists in the next couple of weeks. Once we collect all of the applications, we will start making decisions. If we're lucky, we will have our first mural installed, and that will be above the Lyric Trellis in the fall of 2018, and the second mural will be installed in the spring of 2019. If we're not lucky, we will hope to do both those murals in the spring of 2019. Our aim with those murals is to have them have broad range appeal throughout the community, much like the Silver Tree, Silver Sentinel at the entrance to the city on Broad. And in a little while, you'll see a mural come up. This is an artist who painted a mural in Chelsea, I believe. We think, there it is. Yeah. We think it's delightful. We love the color, it's whimsy, and we have approached him. And as I said, we'll be approaching other artists, and hopefully we will select some really nice murals for the city. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess we would like to add, we want to thank the city for all its support, the city workers who all were there for all the installation, and the community at large. You know, we are only funded through a private donation, and we've got great support from the community and the local business, so we're very grateful. Thank you.
And just one final thing, we're going to have our 15-year gala on Saturday, September 22nd. Mackenzie has been wonderful and is letting us use their rooftop terrace, so it's going to be a really great event. We hope you'll all come.
Great.
Thank you.
Mike, Estelle,
Yes,
and Vivian, why don't you guys just wait up for a second, because there might be questions that are coming. Mike?
No, I'm glad you guys mentioned about your funding, about how you raise money every year, which is fantastic. If, just for the people who are watching at home, if they do want to donate, what's the best way that they can donate money for this worthy cause?
We have a website, Summit Public Art. We actually was going to mention we're in the process of revamping our website, which our new website will go live in probably the next couple of weeks. So they can go through the website and donate that way through Summit Public Art. So Summit Public Art is under the Summit Area Public Foundation. So you can also go through the Summit Area Public Foundation, and we have a dedicated page under the Summit Area Public Foundation.
All you have to do is write SAPF/SPA, and it'll go to the right place.
Great, thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks.
Any other, Matt?
Oh, I just want to thank you. I know how hard you work and the whole team, and I love the art in town. I really think it makes the town so vibrant, and it goes beyond just decoration. It's a very moving thing, I think. So thank you for that. And that's all.
Thank you. Mary?
Oh, thank you. I just also want to say thank you for all your hard work and all that you do to brighten up Summit. I have to personally say that Mike, David, and I, made a donation to one of the sculptures, and I drive by them every day, and I love it. I love looking at them. I think they're wonderful. So it certainly brightens my morning when I'm off to work, and so thank you very much.
Yeah. Nora, please.
I just want to thank you, obviously, as well, but I also, remember when this first organization first started, and it was like, really, why are we doing this? And folks often talked about how we don't all have to agree that we like the art, but one of the goals is to have people talk about it. And that has happened to me several times. Someone will say, I really love this, and I'll actually will say, no, I really don't. Or I'll say, I love something, and they will, and it engenders a conversation which creates more connectedness within our community. And, if you guys weren't willing to take the lead and put the time in, we wouldn't have this extra layer of community. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let
I
me,
guess
let,
that's why it's important that the art rotates, because,
Yes.
if some people don't like an installation, they know a couple of months later something else will be installed. So.
agree. Matt?
Sorry, that's a good point, and that is one question I have. In terms of the murals, are they going to meant to be live for a certain amount of time?
Yes, we're in our call for artists, because they are very expensive. We are saying that these murals need to last a minimum of 5 years. And we anticipate that after that, if the building owner wants to remove them, they can. I mean, they can certainly remove them before then, but we'll try to negotiate the 5-year period. And if they want a new mural, then we'll be looking again for new murals. It's just a very costly endeavor, and we need all the help we can get.
Anybody else? Okay. I just want to thank you both and the entire Arts Committee for all the hard work that you guys are doing for the city. I agree with what my colleagues said about the importance of the art, but it's also, you go through different towns and you see that a part of the reason lots of places do art is to revitalize and it's an economic benefit. It's not simply just artistic and beautiful, which it is, but it's also that there's economic benefits to the town to have art there. So I want to just point that out. I think it's great that you're doing this program with high school students and having that connectivity between different generations with respect to the art. And then finally, with regard to the murals, I will say this was something also discussed in the Summit Downtown Inc. board last year when I was as a council liaison. I think that's great that we're, because I know there was support for that in the SDI board for it, but I'll give you another location. I'll just offer it up, not that I have a right to offer it up, but I think the Tier Garage that's behind Mondo and all those buildings is a perfect place to think about, because you have so many different levels of floor space that if you have different colors and it can really make it pop and make it, instead of this gray kind of structure out there, let's make it something interesting. So think about that as
I would like to add to your point about being an economic benefit. We had someone reach out from New York City. This gentleman leads a meetup group that comes to Summit, and he requested that we do a tour of our art. So this group is going to come on Sunday, May 5th, and I'm going to give a tour of the art that's in town, with the history about the artists, etc. So we are getting attention from a lot of places.
Thank you both. Thank you very
you.
much.
We have a new newsletter that is one of our committee members started a newsletter. It's a monthly newsletter, so we'll get a lot of information. I'm hoping most of you received our first newsletter. And if you haven't, let us know, and we'll add your name on the mailing list, and then you will find out about, our artists, what they've been up to, the tour, and everything we're doing. So.
Okay.
Maybe you could just reach out to Rosie and have Rosie communicate to all of us how to get onto the
Okay,
the
perfect.
newsletter list.
Great.
That'd be great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. The next item on the agenda is public comments, and I just want to just make a clarification, because tonight we're having hearings on the budget. So we're going to first take public comments on items that are not on the agenda, whether it's in the budget or the resolution or ordinances that we're going to be discussing tonight. But then subsequently, if there are no public comments on those types of matters, then we will have public comments and for the budget. We will first have on the city's budget and then on the Summit Downtown Inc.'s budget. So with that, I invite members of the public, if there's anyone out there that would like to speak on a matter that's not on the agenda, please raise your hand and come up to the podium and identify yourself and where you live. Sir, please come on up.
Good evening. My name is Terry Hayes, Hayes. I live at 17 Wallace Road, Summit. I've lived there for about 4 years. I'm going to invite my good neighbor, David Goodstein, who lives at 25 Wallace. And we'd like to bring your all attention to an issue we're having over there that we need help with. It's an issue that's been around for several years. We brought it to attention several times before, but really would like this group's attention to it. It seems that every time it rains, the sewers on Wallace Road and the surrounding roads flow in the opposite direction, so water comes out. The golf course's pond comes over the fairway into across our street and makes our street unpassable and dangerous, you know, for my 4-year-old son, for my 84-year-old dad who will be moving in soon, very concerned. The spillway or dam, which resides at the municipal golf course, is locked. It's broken, and it needs to be opened. I am told by the town that a fix would have some expense to it. It's been proposed on the budget, I guess, before. But if that spillway was fixed in anticipation of rain forecast, the dam could be opened and all this problem would go away. Wallace Road is falling apart. There's many potholes, problems with the road, all kinds of issues. There's cones everywhere. Hasn't been addressed in years. And the reason it hasn't been addressed because it would be a town's waste of money, because the concern is if they fix it, the water problem would just cause it to deteriorate again. So I'm asking for your consideration on addressing this issue. Again, I've been here 4 years, and I'm told it preceded me by several. David, would you like to add anything?
Yes. David Goodstein, 25 Wallace Road, Goodstein. I do have a couple photos here that I took yesterday, in yesterday's storm, which was a decent rain. But we've had many problems in the past, and I've been here many times over the years, and it just seems everything is, yeah, we'll get to it, but nobody's getting to it. Our neighbor, who lives in between us, has a backyard, which I'd like to show some photos to, if you'd like to pass them around.
Absolutely.
So you could see what it looks like. This is the street. Let me tell you which ones.
Do you want to hold them up, Mr. Goodstein, first, and then we can pass it around, so you can explain what the photos show?
This first photo shows picture
You
in
just
front
lift
of...
up the photo so we could all just see it.
Okay. First photo shows a picture of Terry's house, in front of his house with the sewer backing up, the water on the street. Second photo shows a manhole cover across the street on the golf course side, overflowing, if you can see the water pouring out of the top of it. This photo shows the golf course, the amount of water coming across off of the golf course, which seems to be the main problem. The golf course did do some improvements over the years, but it did make it worse. This is another photo of our neighbor's backyard, of what it looks like. It basically becomes a river, which normally is about 4 or 5 inches high. Here's a better close-up shot of the whole backyard is completely underwater. And here's a little walkover bridge, which is about 5-6 feet above the water, but as you can see, there's only about a foot left of the bridge on the top of the railing that's left. So I'd like to give them to everybody, pass them around if you'd like to see them.
Absolutely, thank you. Thank you.
I do have video of many rainstorms over the years. If you'd like to see some of those eventually, I could show them to you.
And we have met with the golf course, the folks that run the golf course, who kind of went back to the town and, kind of put their hands up.
The problem is the bridge is a county bridge.
Okay,
It says Union County on it. Over the years, I've been bringing this up to the town since 1994.
oh my gosh.
And all I've been getting is a runaround. The town says it's a county bridge. We got in touch with the county says, yes, it's their bridge, but it's the town's responsibility to clean it out. And nobody has done anything over the years.
But the key is.
So, I'm sorry, yeah, so what's the issue vis-à-vis the bridge and causing the flooding? Is it that there's material underneath the bridge that doesn't
All the
pass through?
silt has built up over the years.
Okay.
And there used to be, my neighbor that used to live where Terry lives, he bought his house in the early 60s. He told me he used to be able to walk under there. Now, you can probably get maybe 6 to 8 inches.
Okay,
The issue is,
Space.
the reason there's so much silt built up is the spillway. If we fix the spillway / dam, it's a spillway at the municipal golf course so it can open, my understanding is it fixes everything according to the town engineers, I believe. And then we can fix the road and other stuff in the future. We're not concerned about holes on our road. We're concerned about the safety of our families.
understood,
And
understood.
I feel like when it rains, I live on Noah's Ark.
It seems like it.
And our neighbor, from what he told me, who doesn't live there anymore, he told me he got in touch with, I believe it was the town engineer many years ago, and he came and looked at it, and he told him, well, the only thing we can really do is condemn your house, because we can't fix the waterway.
And what's the reason that he said that they could not fix the waterway?
He didn't give us a reason. This goes back probably about 10 years ago. I believe it was Andy,
Ippolit?
yes, I believe he's the one he spoke to.
So I know this precedes the budget question, though. We have capital budget going down, 21.7%, $5 million. Congratulations to you all. We love when the whole things or reduce things. I know it's a big effort. We don't want to pay more taxes, but this is an issue that needs to be addressed.
Paul Tascase is here. Maybe he could address some of these things.
Terry, nice to meet you. Thank you, Council President. So, we did witness during heavy rains the flooding that they've showed you through photos. It is a very complicated situation. So, it's a large drainage area that comes through the golf course, Canoe Brook. The culvert is a county culvert. It is not a city culvert. And the county is to maintain that culvert. The spillway, so the water runs through the golf course from a large drainage area in Bellevue and comes down and funnels through there. Our storm lines on Wallace Road do back up because they can't discharge into the culvert because of the volume of water that comes over through the golf course. So we've been working with Canoe Brook to try to slow that water down so there isn't as much volume. But I want to go on to the spillway. So the spillway, and it is a spillway, not a dam, as you said. No, that's fine. You corrected yourself. But there's capital money that was put in 2000 and funded in 2017. It's been approved. We have, right after the funding of that capital ordinance, the city applied for their approvals through the DEP to replace that spillway, and we're waiting now for their approvals. Once we do get those approvals, we're going to move forward with replacing the spillway. Now, the current spillway does have a gate that is locked, cannot open. However, during heavy flow and large volume, it goes over the top of the spillway. Once the spillway is replaced, we would need to, it requires approval from the DEP every time we open the gates. So we just can't open them ahead of a storm. We would have to apply to the DEP to open those gates to allow for the pond to go down and then to create volume for the water that's in their area. So that is our plan, is to continue to work with the Canoe Brook, have the spillway replaced. We're waiting for the approvals. Once it's approved, we're going out to bid and have it replaced. And then work on a plan where we can start releasing water ahead of storms. So if there are storms that are forecasted, we would then reach out to the DEP and request that they can do that. Wallace Road actually is in this year's capital for improvements, and that includes the road itself, curbing, and drainage. And we'll be working on upgrading that drainage as well, the storm sewers on Wallace Road, to get some of that water out of there. We're going to continue to work with the county. That is their culvert. We are not permitted to go in, and we've gone in a couple times actually and removed some debris out of it, but it is a county culvert and their responsibility. So we'll work with them as well. And hopefully with all of those together, we could relieve most of this flooding issue.
That's great news. So it's part of the budget that's already locked in.
The spillway budget has been approved, and we're just waiting on approvals from the DEP. Once that's approved, we'll remove the old spillway and of course, build a new.
Excellent.
Wallace Road is in this year for capital, road improvement, curbing, drainage.
Great news.
And then we'll continue to work with the Canoe Brook Golf Course to try to slow some of they've done work there over the years to try to slow some of the flow down, because they do have a number of ponds on their property that do run to this area, to this culvert. So,
Permission, the process to get permission before storm can open with the DEP, is that a process like we know it's going to rain 2 days from now?
right, so then we would, yeah. So any spillway in the state of New Jersey requires DEP approval to open it before heavy rains, because what they don't want to do, that spillway goes and flows into the Passaic River. So there are a number throughout the state of New Jersey, and they don't want all spillways opened at the same time, coordinated at the same time, because in lowland areas where there are homes, with that volume, it'll actually flood areas. So years ago, you'll see that a lot of properties were bought through programs in Wayne, New Jersey, where the flooding occurred. That's what they want to prevent by everyone opening their spillways and just dumping into low-lying areas. So it is a process. It's just a permit process, but we would definitely, right before every storm, if we would monitor our pond. If our pond is high, we would then request to lower it.
And they respond that quickly, the state.
They do, yeah. The other thing that I think is worthy of noting is we don't want to lower the pond too low as well, because we use that water to actually irrigate the golf course. So we save on water, and using natural resources, and use that pond water. So it's just a recipe of how you keep it. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Paul, and I'm sure that you'll be following up with DEP and making sure that we get this, the approval as soon as possible and get this construction.
We
Because
will.
my recollection
Yeah.
was that we had approved it in the last council.
Right, it was approved in 2017.
Yeah,
funding for
that
this
was my
program.
recollection. We had done. The other thing is, so Canoe Brook is upgradient from our golf course, the Canoe Group, right?
Yeah.
And so the question is for them to try to retain more water on their property, right?
Right, and we've been working with them over the years to do that.
Maybe they need
Because
another pond.
a lot of what they've shown, and I've been out here during heavy storms.
Yeah, okay.
And it does overflow the culvert and floods that area of the road right there.
Yeah.
Where it's almost, it's impassable.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
What do we do?
Yeah.
I understand the culvert, but how do we stop the water coming off of the golf course?
That we can't, you
I
can't
think the
do.
improvements over the years, it's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
I've seen them, they put drains in the middle of the fairway and run pipe right into the creek.
Yeah.
So the water from the middle of the fairway is going right into the creek.
Yeah.
They're working to relieve it. Seems like they're working to relieve the flooding too much water down there at one time.
So I know over the years what they did was they started taking water from one pond and trying to slow it down, going to another pond before it gets to our culvert.
Just so we're clear, when we say they, we're talking about Canoe Brook.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's not our golf course.
Right, exactly.
Our
okay.
golf course is where the spillway actually will be replaced.
Right, I just wanted so it's clear, because
Yeah.
there's two golf courses, right?
Right.
And so it strikes me that the problem that you guys are describing starts first up gradient at the Canoe Brook Golf Course, and then it just, as water flows down gradient, it just exacerbates because you're picking up more water as you're going along.
Right, and even above their golf course, so we have a drainage area above their golf course that drains there as well, so. But to answer the question, we can't just stop them from having the water flow.
Right.
It's a matter of just trying to engineer the best you can to get that water. And to work, and we'll work with the county too on getting some of that culvert cleared out. I've been under there, and there is some debris under there that needs to be removed. However, the volume is during heavy storms like yesterday, I'm sure, were these taken yesterday?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So heavy storms like that, where you have a downpour within a short period of time, that culvert just can't handle right now the volume of water.
Yeah, I mean, I think where my head is that even if you had, even if you could open the spillway, if you have much too much water, like you had, you're still going to have a flooding all you're going to do is alleviate some of it, but you're not going to alleviate all of it. And so I think you have to deal with you have to deal with the upgradient problem, because they have to retain more water up gradient, because that volume of water is not going to be able to be controlled in a little culvert. There's no way so the engineering solution has to be also upgrading.
Bigger sewer pipes.
Yeah.
I think it needs bigger pipe. There's 2 holes in the sewer pipe. The water shoots out of the ground on the golf course side.
Beth, you had a question?
I just want to reassure you that the city is taking this very seriously and looking into this. I recently did a tour of city community services with one of the city engineers, Aaron Schrager, and he actually took Councilmember Fox and I to that area, showed us the spillway, showed us the issues that you're having on Wallace Road. So I want to reassure you this is an area the city's taking very seriously, that they're being very proactive about. They brought us there, showed us what the issues are, and really explained it to us so we could see for ourselves. And as the finance chair, we are going to be voting on the capital budget later tonight, so I can't tell you it's guaranteed, but there is an earmark for Wallace Road, and it's actually the largest earmark for road improvements in the budget. It is for the Wallace Road area. So thank you for bringing this to our attention. We are aware that this is a problem for you, and we are doing what we can to see if we can alleviate it.
Okay. Anyone else? Matt?
Yes, I just had a question for Ms. Cascades. Paul, thank you. You said you're waiting on approvals from DEP, and is there anything that we could do to help, get DEP going faster if they heard a call from a resident that's worried about their child's safety? Would that help?
Yeah. Oops, I'm sorry. So what we can do is, I think what'll help, we've called them a couple times to try to get it moving. We're in the queue. We're not the only ones, of course. But maybe photos will help them out. If we show them some of these photos, it may move it along, showing them the seriousness of the flooding in this area and what the new spillway it could help out. So we'll try that first. I think that's the way to move forward with it. And if we need additional help, we'll be happy to reach out to the council.
Great. Well, we now have the photos that Mr. Goodstein gave us. We can scan those. You can have those, Paul, and you can contact. And to the extent, Mr. Goodstein, you said that you had video. If you want to share the video.
Over the years, I think I sent one to Paul.
Yeah, I may be in it.
Yes, I think one of them is.
Mike?
I would just suggest, while we're lobbying DEP, we should also reach out to the county as well.
Yeah, we'll do that.
That's an issue also. And certainly, the county is an elected board, just like we are. To the extent, I know we'll definitely engage with them, but the extent that you guys talk to your freeholders as well, they're supposed to respond to these types of things too, so.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Thank you all for your time here.
Absolutely. Thank you, gentlemen, for
Thank
coming
you
in.
for coming.
Is there anyone else from the public who has comments, questions, issues that they would like to discuss that is not something that's on the agenda? Yes, please, sir. Come on up.
Quick question.
No, please come up to the mic. No, identify yourself, sorry.
Bruce Thurkoff.
I'm sorry, say your name again?
Bruce Thurkoff. I own a couple of properties in town, one a commercial and one a residential. Just any idea when the bridge is supposed to be finished?
I'll turn it over to the mayor.
Jersey Transit has told us that at this point, early to mid-June. Next week, weather permitting, Monday and Tuesday, they are going to reconnect the main sewer pipe. So that if you notice, it's above the bridge,
yeah,
right?
right.
So now they're connecting the permanent one, which will be underneath. That has to be done over 2 days. It has to be done when it's dry. The bridge is structurally complete, basically. It's just reconnecting the various utilities. But they're pretty confident that will be early June.
So the bridge is actually constructed, they just
Yeah,
have to do...
you can walk
pavement.
from one side to the other at this point. But it's have to reconnect all the utilities in a permanent structure, in a permanent way, starting with the sewer, and that's early to mid-June.
Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments, questions? Okay. That, I'll put an end, call end to public comments. Moving on now to the budget hearing. So the first item on the budget hearing is the 2018 municipal operating budgets. Are there any public comments with regard to the 2018 municipal operating budget? Michael said no. Okay, having none. Now moving on to the budget hearing for the 2018 Special Improvement District SID budget. Any public comments? All right. Hearing none, we'll close that. Moving on to resolutions, there's we're doing a resolution because this is an amendment, Finance and Personnel, Councilwoman Little.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution is in order to make a minor amendment to the ordinance on sewer fees that was introduced at the last meeting and which is going to be heard tonight. The original language said that the ordinance would take effect 20 days after passage, and our city solicitor has determined that this language was unnecessary. So we are amending the ordinance to take out the language of the 20 days. It will take effect immediately, and we need to hear this resolution before the final hearing on the ordinance so that we are going to be hearing the correct ordinance. So I move this resolution for approval.
Second.
Are there any comments from members of council? Any comments from members of the public? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Moving on, ordinances for hearing. Madam Clerk, would you please read ordinance 18-3161?
An ordinance amending Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-8 Parking, subsection 7-8.5, parking time limited on certain streets of the Code of the City of Summit.
Councilwoman Young.
Thank you, Council President. This ordinance tonight for hearing is to increase rates for all 90-minute meters in the downtown. The last time the city raised these rates was in 2006. Two different parking studies have both indicated the need for us to increase our rates. This change was discussed in both the SDI board meetings and in the Summit Public Advisory Committee. Both committees, as well as in General Services, expressed no opposition to this increase and ordinance. It is a fact that when you change fees, you change behaviors, and we need to help address behaviors that have become pervasive in the downtown. We saw that by increasing long-term parking fee in DeForest lots, the short-term parking increased dramatically. It is our hope that appropriately pricing the 90-minute meters, it will help stop the ongoing problem with meter feeding and employee parking abuse. Industry standards indicate that in order to change this behavior, we need to change our fees. So it is this time I would like to move this ordinance for hearing.
A second.
Comments and questions from members of council. Mr. Gould.
Rosemary, our wonderful clerk, has shared a few emails that some business owners sent in who are very opposed to this measure. I think, for the most part, people understand it and they're in favor of it, but I have seen a couple people think, a couple business owners that wrote, we've all seen this, that think it's going to hurt their businesses by as a deterrent for shoppers coming to the summit. What do we think about that?
Beth, you want to, or I'm happy to respond as well.
I'm happy to respond too. We've just been discussing this for several months with the Summit Parking Advisory Committee, and then we've discussed it with SDI. We've been discussing this in General Services. And, you know, it's one of those situations where there's no really good answer. We don't have enough parking in our downtown. It is a problem that we are trying to address in many, many different ways. If you've been to council meetings, a lot of our ordinances and resolutions revolve around parking. A lot of our discussions revolve around parking. And we're really looking for ways that we can try to improve the parking situation. And the goal of this is to actually help the downtown businesses, because we want people coming into our downtown. We want people to find parking. And so a lot of these measures that we're trying to do are to address these problems. Council Member Ogden alluded to the fact that we increased the rates for long-term parking in the DeForest lots, and we really saw a dramatic change in behavior in doing that, in that the increase in the number of cars that were able to park in these lots increased dramatically. So we had lots more people that were able to park in the lots and park near downtown because of changing these rates. So we're looking at doing the same thing for these meters. This isn't a revenue opportunity for the city. We actually saw revenues go down in the DeForest lots with the change, but it was worth it because we had so many more cars coming through and we were able to accommodate so many more people that want to shop in the downtown. So this is an opportunity. We feel that these spots on the streets are really the premium parking spots. Right now with the current parking structure, 90 minutes on the street parking is cheaper than parking in the DeForest lots. So you're kind of giving the wrong incentive. If we want shoppers and people parking more long-term to go to the DeForest lots and use those lots and really use the street parking for people to run in and out of streets and have that convenience of being closer to the stores, that's what we're looking to do with this measure. And I've read all the emails as well, and I'm a big consumer in our downtown. I'm in downtown every day. I use all the shops. I am a huge supporter of our businesses and our shop owners downtown. In my view, in talking to my friends and other people who use the downtown, because I have been talking about this for a long time with people, I believe that an increase of 50 cents in the parking is not going to deter people from shopping downtown, but availability of parking might deter people from shopping downtown. So if we do this and we prevent people from feeding meters and we move some of the employees who've been using the on-street parking spots to other places and free up more spots for shoppers, I think it's going to be a benefit to our shop owners in our downtown, and that's what we're trying to do. If we do this and it doesn't work or we see other behavior, we can always revisit this, but we really have looked at other towns like Morristown and other, towns in the area that have done this, and they've seen a benefit to it, and we really want to try that to try to alleviate some of the parking.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Councilwoman Little made some excellent points. This has been talked about for several years. I think this is a recommendation that when we've had our various parking studies done, they float this thing up as the most obvious thing that we should be doing. And there's been many reasons over the last several years why it hasn't been implemented. But I'm glad we're finally going to implement this. The metered spots in front of the businesses are the most valuable real estate in our parking system, and we've been charging the least amount of money for it. It just doesn't make any sense, as Councilwoman Little said, from an incentive perspective. We want those spots should turn over, and it's the ability to find a spot that's going to help our businesses, not having people kind of sitting there and pumping quarters into the meters all day. So I think this makes a lot of sense. We want people who want to stay for longer Parking in DeForest, again, this is not about money, it's about incentives to get people to maybe use the assets that we have in a more efficient way. And hopefully this will mean that when people drive around and want to pop into a shop, there'll be a spot for them. At least that's the goal. And I think this is supposed to be a very pro-business decision, as well as being a pro-shopper decision. It should make the experience much, much better as well, if it works the way it's supposed to work.
Thank you. Marjorie?
Thank you, Council President. I'd also like to point out that at the last council meeting, we approved the expansion of our Lyft program to provide for parking for employees who are also Summit residents. If they have a permit, they can also use the Lyft program. So that's another way where we are taking, we're encouraging employees not to use these spots. So we are offering other alternatives, permit parking further away from the, from the street parking, but also the Lyft program. So I just wanted to point that out as well.
Thank you.
I just have one more quick. I just want to reassure everyone that the 15 minutes free at the meters is still going to continue. That will not change. And to remind everyone that the first hour is free in the DeForest lots. So there is, and also the other piece of this is that we did an analysis of the DeForest lots, and the amount of time that they are full has gone down dramatically as well. They are, they're for a longer period every day. Those DeForest lots have spots available in them. So that's the goal, is to move to there if you're doing more long-term parking.
Anybody?
And one of the reasons for that was that we increased that after 5-hour number, because it wasn't people who work in town that were parking there all day. It was commuters who were parking and then taking the train. A lot of them, not everyone, of course, and we've seen that number of all day long parkers decrease significantly, and has the revenue. So it's not a revenue. It's not a point to make to increase revenue. It's a point. The point was to increase the number of spaces available for shoppers in the DeForest lots.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Now I'd like to ask members of the public, if there's any members of the public that would like to come on up. Yes, please. Just please identify yourself and whether it's a business or a residence where you live.
I am Leslie Bradley. Thank you for letting me talk tonight. I own Willow Street, which is a women's clothing store at 431 Springfield Avenue. I have been a store owner for 24 years. I can't imagine that I'm saying that. I actually swore I would never come to another parking meeting again, because it has been an ongoing thing. As long as I've been in town, there's so many levels to it. I feel like I'm coming in a little bit late, because the meter increase on the street I don't think is so detrimental as the 5-hour parking behind the spot, behind my stores, behind the stores. To start out, I'd like to say there's already 5 customers who are Summit residents who will not come into Summit anymore, because they got $50 tickets for patronizing our stores, and they emailed the town and let everyone know that they were shopping in town and got these tickets and never even got a response. So basically, I take clothing to those people's homes now because they won't come into town anymore. 5 hours, I am constantly in town. I get my hair done in town, my nails, I shop, I eat. 5 hours is ridiculous. And if I was to get a ticket, I would absolutely never come here again. So I think the meter parking is just an insult to the people who are now no longer parking in our lots back there. I used to tell people, don't bother, don't park on the street because you're going to get a ticket. And, park in those spots in the back, because you can park there all day, you can have lunch with your girlfriend, you can get your hair done, whatever. And now they're not reading that sign that says $50 if you stay over 5 hours, and who would? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. I would never even think to go into town and think, oh my God, if I stay here 5 hours, it's going to cost me $50. So they're not reading that. They're coming in, they're taking their time, and I'd like to add, maybe walking through town and looking at all our beautiful art that we're putting, in. You can't do that in 5 hours. So the meters, I don't think are the big issue. I think that that 5-hour time limit behind our stores is an absolute insult. I think that traffic is down in town. I think we should encourage people to stay in town. We've got a lot of new stores coming in. There's a lot of things to do in town. And I think it's really important that we do that. Now, whether or not we have to get the commuters out of there, I can't imagine that commuters are paying $20 5 days a week to park there. Maybe they are. They certainly are making more than I am, because I couldn't afford to park to do that. But all I know is that there are a ton of spaces behind my store. Traffic is down in town, and I do think that this is a bad message to send to our shoppers. And thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, please, come on up.
My name is Alexandra Kilby. I own the Silver Lining at 24 Beechwood Road, and I also live in town, 19 Maxwell Lane. I've worked at the Silver Lining a really long time, and I just took it over 2 years ago, and I fully agree with what Leslie says. I mean, the 5-hour parking, that was a big insult, because a lot of my customers have gotten that ticket and they are not happy, and I hear about parking every day. It's probably one of the hardest things as a business in Summit. It's the parking issue. And we do everything in small business. I mean, I run out to people's cars, I bring stuff to their house, anything, so they do not have to park in town because they get tickets. And it's not a ticket because they overstayed for 20 minutes. I mean, they'll be 3 minutes late and they've gotten a ticket. So I think the meter parking is just an insult. You know, like on my street, those parking spaces, they turn over a lot because mostly people are running to Starbucks or Juice Caboose, or hopefully to me, and they just want to put a quarter in, get their smoothie, and leave. And I'm trying to understand, by raising the price, how is that going to stop meter feeding? Like, how is it going to stop what's already happening? You're just going to be increasing the fare, like what they're paying. So I don't really understand how that's going to deter that. People are going to meter feed if they want to meter feed. It's just how it is. But I also have a bigger issue is all these studies are done and SDIs talk to you, but no one's come and talked to me as a business owner. No one's come and said, do you hear anything from your customers? How do you feel about this? I didn't even get the SDI email about tonight's meeting. I got it from Donna next door, and she's like, you should come to this meeting. It's about parking. I can't go. And I just wish that we were involved in these conversations a little bit more, because studies are great, but we hear it from our customers who stop coming, who order online, so I just send it to them, even though they live not even a mile away. Like, it doesn't, parking's a big issue, but I don't think we need to increase it, because I think it's just going to add to the already slow traffic we have in town. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir, please come on.
Yeah, Bruce Fairclough, 26 Maple Street in Summit, and 11 Dunder Drive in Summit. I grew up in Summit, so my family has either owned property or lived in Summit for over 75 years. My father owned a retail business in Summit for 35 years, Hill City Delicatessen, when it was on Maple Street, and the person he sold it to was here for another 45 years, and now there's somebody else who has taken it over. Parking has always been a problem in Summit. What do we had? 5 studies on whether or not we should put a garage in. Interest rates were at its lowest, and since whenever we could have floated bonds to build a parking garage, another parking garage. We saw the garage go up for the commuters. That could have been built by New Jersey Transit. We wouldn't have had as much control over it, but maybe it would have left us with another $8 or $10 million to have built a shoppers tiered parking. I keep scratching my head because they keep on talking about studies and studies and studies. We're paying thousands of dollars for these studies, and the council is just has basically swept everything under the mat. I don't understand why there's been no progress. In each of these studies, I believe, are recommended that we should have another tiered parking. The increase in the meter parking, you know, my wife this evening, after we had something to do, she went over to Chatham, she went over to Madison. They're free parking on the street. And I guess what they do over there, they don't have meters. They probably, the enforcement people probably put a chalk mark on a tire. They're allowed, I think, in Chatham, and this is, the only place both these towns charge for parking is the railroads. And I don't know whether New Jersey Transit owns some of those lots or not, but that's the only charge parking. But in Chatham, you get 1.5 hours street parking, 3 hours shopper parking for free. And again, the railroad parking you pay for. In Madison, you get 1 hour free street parking, 2 hour free shopping in the rear behind the stores. You know, maybe we have longer parking in our shoppers lots, but I start to listen to some of the retailers here, and 5 hours may be a little short. You know, I'm starting to think that maybe this is more of an enforcement situation that we're looking at rather than just charging more money. You know, have we really looked at how other towns, all the other towns in the area, the towns that don't charge for parking, how they're getting along? And, you know, I've never had a problem usually finding a spot in Madison during the day, or Chatham. Now, Chatham's a smaller town. Madison's a little smaller than Summit, but, you know, it's a good retail district downtown. I think a little bit more study has to be put into this ordinance, and maybe it should be tabled to really review it a little bit more, because retail is changing dramatically in this country. And we have to start looking at our downtowns as how we can draw people in. You know, they're talking about Amazon, and they're backing now that the other companies, mail order companies, should start charging taxes. Maybe that'll force more people, you know, downtown or into the stores because they're not getting away with the taxes anymore. But I think everybody here on the council and the planning board has to start thinking maybe a little bit more out of the box. What are we doing? The town is your jewel. People come to this and they look at our downtown and they say, well, wow, this is great. It increases our property values in our homes, and that's something great. But start looking around now. Start looking at some of the vacancies that are starting to come up. We have to start thinking that maybe on the first floor, you know, if I'm an owner and I lease, you know, my retail space, you got to start thinking more in terms of service, you know, service type of retail. You know, maybe expand what we allow on the first floor. We just can't stick to retail anymore. And landlords have to be able to get a cash flow out of their buildings. If it takes them 2 years to lease up the space, you know, at a reasonable rate, you know, a lot of the small guys are going to go out of business. They're going to have to sell their businesses, you know. And I don't think you want an oligopoly of just a few big owners downtown. That, you know, it's the small mom and pops that are able to deal with the local merchants, where, you know, it's a give and take. You start getting big companies in here taking over all the retail space, and you're $30 or $35 a square foot. They're going to say, well, we purchased all these properties. We need $50 a square foot, and they don't give a damn if the stores stay vacant for 2 or 3 years. You know, I mean, they have a goal in mind. They got plenty of cash flow coming in, you know, from other sources, and they can sit there and wait. And in the meantime, we suffer. Summit suffers because it starts looking like we got problems here in this town because we start getting more and more vacancies. You know, I'm just bringing this up because I've been around in this town probably more than most people here, you know, both in retail and owning properties. And I think the time has come to start taking a different approach. And I'm just bringing that up. And I think as far as the meters are concerned, I think maybe it needs a little bit more research. You know, why are other towns being able to offer free parking on the street? And we're charging and charging and charging. I think, you know, the other thing is maybe each employer downtown has to submit a list to the parking department with their car, their license plate number, and each of their employees who they employ, so that the meter people can put this in their computers and they can see if something's going on here. Who's feeding the meters? You know, where are they coming from?
Yep.
We do that. They know every
No, but
complaint, and I pay for my employees. to
No,
work.
no, but does everybody in town do it?
I don't know, I think. it's-
Okay. And I know it's adding a lot. You know, It's tough, you know, but.
So I think let's see if there's any other people, because also we'd like to get.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, please, come on up. Good evening.
Rose, Mayor.
I'm sorry, could you say your name again?
John Colangelo, downtown property owner and longtime resident, lifetime resident. Mr. Gould referenced a couple of emails that he had gotten. Perhaps one is mine. I assume all council members read that email, so you know the way I feel about the ordinance. And of course, everybody before me stole my thunder, so I will be brief. Of the retailers that I have spoken to since I saw that email just last Friday, not one had received notice of this change. So you haven't had an opportunity to hear from a retailer. I have spoken to 3 or 4 owners. None of them received notice. Somehow I did. So you have not heard from the downtown owners. You also probably haven't made enough of an initiative to notify residents. When I think this thing should be tabled, I think you should look at it more. I certainly agree with all of the comments that have been made this evening, both on council side and the public side. Something needs to be done. But the way I read the ordinance is that you are trying to punish those people who abuse the system. I see it every day. I'm in town every day. I agree. But why are you going to punish everybody else at the same time? So I don't think the ordinance should be passed this evening. I think it needs more study. And quite frankly, I also am tired of hearing about parking studies. People who come in, take their textbooks, have no idea what this town is about. And I'm not referring to council. I'm referring to paid people who do parking studies. You need to know this town. We are all essentially lazy. When I go to the cigar shop in the afternoon, I want to park at the first meter because the parking lot on the Forest may be in an extra minute and a half. I don't want to walk there. So I agree. You need to clear the parking spaces. You need to get the abusers out. No question. Punish them. Don't punish everybody else. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, go on to, is there further discussion among members of council? Beth?
I just want to address a couple of the points that were made. As far as thinking out of the box, that is, you know, that's been my experience coming to council meetings and being on council, is that's all that we're trying to do. We are trying to think out the box in every way that is possible to solve this problem. We've done with the lift, bringing the commuters into town and expanding that to resident employees. We've been trying to work with different fee structures. We've been trying to change some of the meters to accommodate different groups of people. We're just trying to do everything that we can. Building a tiered parking garage is a very expensive proposition, and we know that driving habits are changing. So when you go to urban planning meetings or you go to these city planning meetings on looking to the future. It's very difficult to justify building a tiered garage that we are going to be in debt for multiple years, and when we know that driving habits are changing and downtowns are changing. So we're trying to do everything that we can to support businesses. I know that's not what's on the agenda tonight, but I do want to respond to the points about the 5-hour parking, and I want to let you know, first of all, the city is losing revenue from doing this, so that it was a measure to try to open more spaces, get more people into the downtown, and according to the study that was done by Rita McNanny, and thank you, Rita, for doing this, the first quarter of 2017 versus the first quarter of 2018, we had 9,400 more vehicles parking in those DeForest lots in this quarter than we did last quarter. Allowing that turnover means 9,400 more people were able to park in those lots and use our downtown and shop and come to our downtown. And that's I think that, I'm sorry that you're hearing from some people that are getting it on the other end, but I think versus 9,400 more people that were able to come into our downtown and shop and use the downtown, I think that has to be a balance that came out in favor of doing that. I don't know how to solve the problem. If people want to be here longer, maybe they can move spots or move lots or do that, because we want people using our downtown. But we did find that the majority of the people that were parking over the 5 hours were commuters and not people shopping, and that was the behavior we were trying to change. And it seems like we were successful in doing that, or that the council, that was before me on the council, when they changed that, it seemed like it was a successful measure.
Can I just make that comment? It's about just 2 minutes.
Come on up.
I know the type of multi-parking garage that I think a lot of people have envisioned. We went through that 5 years ago and whatever. But, and everybody wants to park where it's convenient. I mean, and I know there was some talk about putting maybe an extra tier over one of the 3 shoppers' lots. And most of the studies that were done always suggested the Forest lot, and Woodland was the ideal spot. But, you had a few residents over there, and they didn't like it. But what I'm saying is maybe a single level where it could go down a little bit and up a little bit, and try that in one of the middle lots there, which would be far less expensive than building a whole multi-tiered parking lot. Maybe they could try something like that, and interest rates are still low enough to float some bond issues where it'll probably make sense.
Okay, thank you. Other comments from members of council? Mary, please.
Just to circle back, I think we're really between a rock and a hard place, and I really appreciate your concern. I'm a big shopper downtown and love your stores. It's really conflicting as to what to do, but I think we have held off for a really long time. It is not meant to be punitive. As Councilwoman Little said, it is meant to be behavior changing. I think we are trying to also be forward thinking, because building a garage, if we've got all automated cars in 5 years, we got to knock that down, and it's not going to be necessary. So we're trying to be as forward thinking as we can as a council, as well as meeting the needs of the downtown. And I believe me, I understand how it sounds like it's punitive, but it's, when we saw what DeForest, as far as moving the cars and how many we got in, it seemed to make the most sense to try to make the streets of Springfield Avenue and the downtown more accessible to more people and turn over faster so more customers could come in and stop feeding the meters. So it's not an easy spot, and parking is the elephant in the room, and as it always has been. But we really are trying to do what's right for the city of Summit. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, no, I would reiterate those comments. The one thing I do know, though, the comments from retail are appreciated. There's nothing to say that 5 hours is written in stone forever.
Right. Yes.
These are types of things where you get comments, and the goal of this was to stop commuters taking a spot. And I'm amazed as you were. $20 a day, but a lot of people, that's nothing. They pay it, and the numbers show that what we have done has been effective to get those people out of the lots. The unintended consequence is if there's shoppers who do, like to shop for more than 5 hours, I mean, I know my wife would be in that category. Those types of things, we can look at that. But the goal has to be is we don't want commuters who are not going to use our downtown, are not going to go into your stores, to be hogging a spot all day. So we had to figure out a way to get them out of those things, and that was the solution. But as I said, that's not to mean that one limit has to stay that way forever. We changed these. I think we've changed the DeForest lots, like 3 times over the last 4 years around this type of stuff. So the feedback is certainly appreciated. There was one other comment I wanted to make around your comment. The other thing I think, it is disturbing though to hear that Summit residents who or overstay their spot, by a minute, are charged $50. My experience when people have reached out to me around that is that our parking services people are very understanding. This is not to punish Summit residents. If someone's doing it every day and they come back and say, hey, I want my $50 back, and it's the 3rd time in a month, well, that's not, they're abusing the rule. But if a Summit resident overstays their welcome because they're shopping, and it's the first time they've ever done it, my experience has been that our parking services people have been very accommodating because they're here to serve the people of Summit. And I can tell you 5 people that I know who've gone through that and have gotten a check back. So I'm sure that your people are not not telling you something that's not true, but I do hope, though, that, if that stuff comes up, you should reach out to your elected officials, or you tell your customers to, because that is not what we want to have as an experience for our residents.
Anyone else?
Just one.
No, we need to move along.
Who commutes as a commuter to the city for just 5 hours? If you work in a city, you're going to be there 8 or 10 hours.
I understand. Let me
Can I
try.
just ask that, I think that, can SPAC take a look at this? Just, look at this, look at the numbers. SPAC, can we take a look at the next meeting, the 5-hour issue? And just take a look at it, and let's just see. Maybe it makes sense to make it, I don't know, but we should certainly take a look at it.
What's your question?
Can you clarify how the increase will change the meter fee? That's what this is about, to determine meter fee tonight, like the increase. Can you just clarify how that will change it?
Yeah, so the question was, because the folks in the audio, because people are watching us, is how will the changing the, by having the increase, how will that change the behavior effectively? If that's the goal. Rita, do you want to address that, please? Rita McNanny, who's our Parking Services Director.
Who's doing a great job.
Rita McNanny, Parking Services Manager. One of the things is that there's people, and it's not only people that work downtown, shop owners, but even customers, and we try not to. The limit is 90 minutes. We've had 2 hours, we've had an hour, we've had 90 minutes. The issue is that, yes, people get involved, they may stay over for their lunch or if they're shopping, and we do try to accommodate them as best as we can. But what happens is even shop owners have quarters in their hand, they run out for all their customers, and they keep feeding the meters. So one of the issues is that we try to, that's why with DeForest, we gave them an hour free in DeForest to say, go to DeForest, you have up to 5 hours, and we'll look at that, maybe we go higher. But that way you can stay, you're not rushed to stay under that 90-minute. And also to, I don't have enough staff to go around every meter in 90 minutes. So again, we do really try to accommodate all customers, but there are people that do come out and feed the meters all day long, or they sit there and re-up on Park Mobile. So with the increase in the fee, which we've also noticed in Bank Street, which is already $1 an hour, and the ground level of the tier garage, which is already $1 an hour, it doesn't deter people from parking there, but also, too, it does deter people from staying there too long. Again, we've had employees that do that as well, but it's a 90-minute, and the 90 minutes is to create turnover. If someone needs more than 90 minutes, we do have other locations. If you recall, council last 2 years ago, we changed the meters on Railroad Avenue from 5 hours to 3 hours to extend over that 90 minutes. If you're getting your hair done, or even if you're having lunch with friends, you have 3 hours on Railroad Avenue. Again, we have limited parking. We're doing the best. We also thought of even maybe Broad Street, bringing Broad Street down from 5 hours to 3 hours to create on both sides of town, that for all stores, to get places that people can park for longer than 90 minutes. But again, studies have shown that that's your highest real estate, and get people to walk a little bit further.
Okay, thank you.
Just quickly too, I think the other issue is that right now it's cheaper to park on the street for 90 minutes than it is to go to DeForest lots. So hopefully it would incentivize people to go to those, to go to the DeForest lots if they're parking 90 minutes or more.
Okay, thank you.
And it creates more turnover.
Let me try to wrap this up and give you my perspective. So I come at this as a perspective of a son who grew up with parents who owned a retail shop. And so I completely understand and sympathize with the argument of people who have to watch the bottom line, have to watch customers come in and sometimes walk through the store, help them out, and then they walk out having not purchased anything. And I get that. And I get the fact that you have to pay rent and that you have overhead expenses and you have no idea when you open that door whether you're going to make a profit that day or you're not. Totally understand it. And but I also understand that you need to have customers being able to come into the store. And that's the issue that we're dealing with. Councilwoman Ogden said this is a difficult, thorny issue. Parking is always a difficult, thorny issue in this town. And obviously, part of the issue is, look, we're a fully built-out town, basically. It's not like as if we're starting with a green space and we can decide to do what we want to do. There are competing interests. So if we want to do something, there's people on both sides because it's a fully developed town. Let me try to address some of the comments that were made. Part of it has been already addressed by some of my colleagues, so I'm not going to repeat it. As far as folks not knowing about the meeting because who are retail owners and downtown, that obviously you should be informed by SDI. And SDI has meetings, as I recall, on the fourth Wednesday of every month at 8 a.m. upstairs in the Whitman room. You should go there. There's a time for public comments, and you should make your comments known. You should also know that SDI holds elections. If you're not satisfied with the folks, the landlords, and the tenants who represent you on that SDI board, vote them out. Run and vote them out. As far as residents knowing about this issue, I post previews of council agendas. I don't know if any previous council president has done it. I certainly have done it. I started this year with it. So 2 weeks ago, the introduction of this resolution, I posted a preview informing residents about it. It's posted on the city website. It's posted on my Facebook page, my council Facebook page, my personal Facebook page. And I posted about this evening's notice. So I think residents have an opportunity to know about what's going on top of just looking at the city's agenda. As far as issues dealing with the economics of the downtown, I agree with you that we should be concerned about the long-term health of the downtown. So two things that you may not be aware of. Earlier this year, this council approved changes to the development regulations and ordinances, specifically expanding the uses that were permissible in the downtown, including expanding the uses of entertainment uses because of the need and the recognition that possibly it's not sufficient to just have retail, but we need to think about how can we bring people in? Those experiential things that make people want to be able to come and stay in the downtown and then have the spillover effect of going to the restaurant, going to the shop, going and feeling as if they're part of something more than simply going online and pressing a button and getting goods. So we recognize the need for helping out the downtown. Second, last council meeting, we approved having an economic development committee. Part of the reason we did that is because precisely what the issue of looking at the trends, looking at the future. It's not simply good enough to look at what are we doing this year or next year, but where are folks, how are folks looking at and regionalization, the precise issue of what do other towns do, not simply in parking, but in other ways of economic development. We need to position Summit for the future, and the only way to be able to do that is to learn and understand what other folks are doing. And so we do take very seriously the idea of how we, as government has a limited role because there's things that businesses are supposed to do. This is private enterprise, they got to do all those things. But where government can help is to help formulate policies and ideas that can be implemented that can help businesses. We want to help you guys. We certainly do not want to hurt our downtown. We recognize the importance of it. So this comes back to this issue of, for me, is this a good idea to do or not? I think we clearly need to look at, and I think it's a good suggestion that's been, I think, just universally accepted, that we will look at that $50 and the 5 hours. Does that make sense, and how we can address it? And maybe we need to tell more notices to residents that, hey, look, if you're going to stay longer, we're not trying to penalize you. That's not our intent. But then it comes down to this specific issue that we really have to address, and that is this parking, this metered parking. And I agree with you that you don't just look at some study that somebody coming from the outside decides. Issue is, we ourselves, I have experiences, I have seen myself employees walking out of their stores, putting meter points and walking back in. Employees being happy that they got a parking space right in front of the store that they work at. That may be great for the employee. That's terrible for you as the shop owner. And you guys know that. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help. If it doesn't work, this is not set in stone. If this doesn't seem like it's working, we will revisit it. There's nothing here that says this is absolutely right or wrong. We need to try to improve the availability of parking. And that's what we're trying to do. And so with that, I'm going to call for a close of this hearing on this ordinance and call on the next one. Councilwoman, I'm sorry. Madam Clerk, would you read Finance and Personnel 18-3163?
An ordinance amending Chapter 25, Sewage and Wastewaters, Section 25-6, Sewer User Charges of the Code of the City of Summit, as amended.
Councilwoman Little.
Thank you, Council President. The purpose of this ordinance is to allow the council to set the operating and maintenance fees for the sanitary sewer system of Summit annually by resolution rather than by ordinance. It was introduced at the last meeting, and at that time I noted that this is not required to be set by ordinance. The sewer fees are not required to be set by ordinances, and setting them by resolution will be more efficient and cost-effective. This ordinance also changes the due date for the fees to June 15th rather than September 1st, and that was done to help with cash flow in the sewer utility. I move this ordinance for hearing.
Second, sorry.
Any comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Further discussion? All I will say is I think this is just trying to just streamline the process. I think that's all we're trying to do here. It doesn't change really from a practical perspective for residents anything. Okay. Moving on to ordinances for final consideration. Councilwoman Hopton. Oh, I'm sorry. I will ask the clerk to read General Services 18-3161.
An ordinance amending Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-8 Parking, subsection 7-8.5, parking time limited on certain streets of the Code of the City of Summit.
Councilwoman.
Thank you. Yes, I'd like to move this ordinance 183161 for final consideration at this time.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Ms. Ogden?
Aye.
President Naidoo?
Aye. Okay, moving along. Finance and Personnel 18-3163, please.
An ordinance amending Chapter 25 Sewage and Wastewater, Section 25-6 Sewer User Charges of the Code of the City of Summit as amended.
Councilwoman Little, please.
I would like to move this ordinance for final consideration.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Ms. Ogden?
Aye.
President Naidoo?
Aye. Okay. Now moving on for ordinances for introduction. Safety 5627. Madam Clerk, would you please read the ordinance?
An ordinance amending the code, Chapter 7 Traffic, Section 7-8 Parking, subsection 7-8.5 Parking time limited on certain streets.
Councilman Gould, please.
Thank you, Council President. I want to talk about something new, which is parking. On Lowell Avenue, basically, you know, there are other parts of Summit that have thriving commercial establishments beyond the downtown, which I'm grateful for. And in this particular area, on Lowell Avenue and Morris Avenue, there's a lot of parking, especially in the summertime, where the residents there are just parked in. They can't get out of their driveways, they can't move, they can't see to make a turn onto Morris Avenue. So it is a safety issue. We heard a lot of complaints about it, and so we want to introduce an ordinance to disallow parking on the north side of Lowell Avenue between Morris and Montrose.
Do I hear a second?
Madison.
And Madison. Forgive me. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Okay. So this is an ordinance for, do we have to do roll call?
Just roll call.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Ms. McTiernan?
Aye.
Ms. Ogden?
Aye.
President Naidoo?
Aye. Okay. That ordinance will be heard on 5-1, so if anybody wants to speak on it, they can come then. Finance and Personnel 5677. Councilwoman Little, please.
Thank you, Council
May I
President.
read the title first?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Try and move this along. Sorry.
An ordinance to establish the 2018 salaries, wages, or compensations of and for the officers and employees of the City of Summit in the County of Union and the State of New Jersey.
Thank you, Councilwoman Little now.
Thank you, Council President. This ordinance is to establish the steps, classifications, and ranges of salaries for the City of Summit. There is no material change from last year. It is the same steps and rating that we have had in place for the city employees. And I would like to move this ordinance for introduction.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox?
Aye.
Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Ms. Ogden?
Aye.
President Naidoo?
Aye. Okay. Now we're moving on to resolutions. First up is Finance and Personnel 5661. Councilwoman Little, please.
Thank you, Council President. This first resolution is to set forth the summary of the 2018 revenues and appropriations, the municipal operating budget, sewer utility operating budget, and parking utility operating budget. And I have to say, I am very pleased to introduce this resolution tonight. You know, before you sit on council, I certainly had an appreciation that it takes a lot of work to put together this budget. But I don't think until you're really involved with the process that you have an actual understanding of how much work goes into this. And particularly this year, and it was a year that we really asked the city to really hold the costs. And we had a real understanding that our Summit residents were going to be hit by the limits on deductions for SALT, the state and local taxes that was passed by the federal government. And we really asked the city to really hold the line on the budget and to work extra hard. And so the first thing I need to do is to really thank Michael Rogers and Marge Gerba for all the work that has gone into this. They were the leaders of this, and really I am beyond impressed by the work that they do and the amount of attention and detail and thoughtfulness that goes into this budget. Also, as the Finance Committee, and also thanks to Council President Naidu and Councilmember Ogden, who sat on the Finance Committee with me, we hear from all the department heads who come into us and present to us their operating budgets and their capital budgets. We ask lots and lots of questions, and to a person across the board, they were incredibly well prepared, they were knowledgeable, they were thoughtful, they had put so much thought and attention into these budgets, and really so much care into making sure that they preserved services for our residents, but also held the line on costs. And so I really want to thank everyone. I'm just going to look to make sure I don't forget anyone, but thank Paul Cascase, Judith Josephs, Rita McNanny, Chief Evers, and Chief Weck for that, those presentations and that level of detail and that level of care that goes into this. This is a very intensive and time-intensive and just across the board a very thoughtful process, and I was very impressed. I think we can all be proud of this budget, which promotes fiscal responsibility with a 0% increase to our residents this year, while continuing to fund our city infrastructure with improvements to things like improvements to city roads, the new free market, the transfer station. It supports our first-class police and fire departments with training and new equipment and staffing, improves our use of technological advancements with the new license recognition software and online permitting, and more importantly, keeps us moving forward in a great direction for our city and our residents. So I am very proud to move this resolution tonight.
Proud to second it.
Comments from members of council, questions? Mary, please.
I would also like to follow up and thank Michael Rogers and Marge for your tireless effort on this budget. I know you eat, you sleep, you breathe the budget for months prior to its approval. I know you do. And it's not a process that is taken lightly. Hours upon hours are given to working with each department responsible of management of our monies. Special thanks goes out, like Councilwoman Little said, to each of the department chairs. You are amazing to work with, and your dedication keeps Summit the amazing place it is to live and work. We do many things together, our city administration and council. This document is among the most important document we will create this year, as it is every year. It is how we set our priorities, our economic health, our public safety, affordable housing, and efficient overall operations. We have been transparent and are always accountable for our efforts. The citizens of Summit care about what we do, and we are responsible to them. It is with great enthusiasm that I support 100% this budget. We are fortunate to have such an amazing city administrator in Michael Rogers, who thoughtfully and carefully prepared this responsible budget that we have before us tonight. So thank you very much, Michael.
Any other comments from members of council? Mike.
No, I'd also just like to thank the members of the Finance Committee. This is a lot of work, a lot of hours, and I know you guys worked really hard on this, having done it for several years. So, great job doing that, and certainly city staff, Marge, your team, Michael, and the department heads. This is it's an iterative process. There's a lot of back and forth. I'm sure it would be a lot easier just to get what you asked for the first time, but that's not the way the world works. So everyone has to make difficult choices and needs to have priorities. And I think there's a lot of priorities that residents in this town demand and deserve. And I think this budget is it's a good document that addresses those things. Not everybody gets what they want, and certainly with the capital budget we'll talk about later, that you have to make choices on that too. But I will say one thing that has helped around our budgeting and to have a flat tax base is the voluntary investment that's made in our town. And we've had, over the last couple of years, some agreements with some of our large corporate entities in town that has, given us a little more clarity around our tax base from that perspective. But it's encouraging to see both homeowners and other commercial entities continue to invest in the city. that voluntary investment means that we can fund services without raising people's current rateable or taxes, and that's very important to realize. And certainly, one of the things that we're looking to do this year with the Broad Street West redevelopment plan goes to that. If we can get ratables from that perspective, that will allow us to fund services for our residents without raising the current residents' tax rate any further. Because we know New Jersey is an expensive place to live. So that's an important aspect of it, too. One thing I'm very happy to see in the budget is the continued focus on growing our fund balance. That's a rainy day fund. You don't want it too big because it means, we shouldn't be taxing people that much. But it certainly did come in very handy over the last couple of years when we did draw that down, when we did have some adverse tax issues with some of our larger taxpayers. So it's good to see that that's building back up again. So I think this is a great budget. Congratulations to all involved again. Nice job.
Thank you. Any other? Steve?
Taking a little, thanks to everybody, having done it last year, and Beth, I can understand your, getting thrown into the fire right away. It's a tough job for a rookie, if you will, or first year. And everything, I echo everything everyone's saying here, but one thing I also want to say is thank everybody for is being able to maintain head count, because doing that now is just, and actually reducing head count by 2 is so important to future budgets that we'll be able to work with in the future. So that's a thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just want to say briefly that obviously thanks, I reiterate everything everyone has said, but I'm always very impressed by the department chairs, how you're always, not just at budget time, but always looking at ways you can save money and find the deal that makes the most sense, the programs that make the most sense, stretch the dollar. So I really appreciate that on behalf of all of the Summit taxpayers. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President. Yes, thanks, everyone. And I just want to say that it seems like we're all in agreement in thanking. We actually have gone through lots of different questions and answers of all the different people along the process. Just in case anybody's watching at home, they don't just think we just take this giant Bible and say, oh, it's great. No, we've gone through it. And to that end, Michael Rogers, thank you for doing such a wonderful job. I just have one question for you about, not about this budget per se, but about our trends. There's a section on trends. And talking about our debt servicing, and I know Councilman McTiernan has brought this up before, and it looks like interest rates are going to go up, and we are carrying a certain amount of debt from previous capital projects. And when I see what I would consider to be reckless behavior at the federal level and how they're managing the debt, it makes me that much happier with the way we have a measured approach to debt. And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about that.
So if you've listened to me speak for the last few years, debt has been at the forefront of my comments about just fiscal stability and how important it is to certainly provide for capital improvements in our infrastructure, in our buildings, our roads. And it's usually funded through our capital budget and with short-term, long-term debt. So it's managing the decisions that for needs and certainly for things that we want to provide, not only our department heads to do their jobs, but also for our citizens and the environment we live in, that is Summit. It is a challenge. Debt is one of those things you really have to monitor, you have to structure right, and I think the city has done a good job. But I'm just always more sort of hawkish about it, and I made a very strong argument over the last couple of years to manage the capital budgets, and I think we've done a good job in doing that, and I think we did again this year. And it is sacrifice, and it's tough decision-making that has to be done. And we are projecting out. We certainly do that. We do that through the capital budget plan. We do that with our financial advisor. To your point about looking at our, debt service, and we just did a $26.7 million note that we will be looking to address in a long-term issuance because interest rates are trending upward. So we do have a plan with that. We probably in the fourth quarter will be coming back to council to act on a course of action to approach the long-term issuance, which will probably more or less be around toward the end of this year into next year. And so it's managing our capital budget. That's where our debt comes from. We have to know what our future debt service payments are, because if you continue to see that grow, you are going to be making difficult decisions if your revenue is not growing equally. And so then you have to start to look at the appropriation side, and it will affect your services. So it is really important, because that can creep up on you one year if you're not watching this. And so I think we all are cognizant of it. I certainly am. It's a big number in our budget. So we take it seriously, and we're always planning for it and looking at how we can structure it in such a way that there isn't any drastic upswings, downswings in our debt service.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any comments from members of the public? Seeing none. Any further discussion by members of council? Okay, let me close and give my comments towards it. Obviously, it goes without saying my deep appreciation and thanks to Michael and Marge and to the entire, all the department heads who worked tirelessly to try to get to the budget that we have. It is, to say, having a flat 0% tax increase. It's a really good accomplishment. It's a really good accomplishment, because there are plenty of towns that cannot say that they accomplished this. On top of having a AAA bond rating, I believe the only one municipality in the state from all three credit agencies, again shows that fiscal stewardship is at the heart of how council operates. And it is true, absolutely true, that some of the decisions that were made last year with regard to having settlements with Overlook and Celgene helped to give us financial stability. And so kudos to that council for achieving that. It's also the case that this issue of ratables, and we have talked here constantly about ratables when we talk about the Broad Street redevelopment project, and sometimes people don't see the connection, but it is because we are trying to grow the pie that we end up being able to shrink people's tax liability. And that is the only way we can do it effectively, because otherwise we would have to cut services. And folks in this town who pay a lot in taxes don't want to see their roads full of potholes, police unavailable, fire unavailable, and as well as other services. And so the only way we can do it, and that's why we end up talking so much about, okay, where can we do a proper, sensible redevelopment that brings in extra revenue for the city and helps out. I will also say that I'm very glad to hear that we are looking at our long-term debt issue, and we'll be focusing on that. It is true, as Councilman Gould says, that the fiscal irresponsibility that we see at the federal government is not something that we want to emulate here in this town, and certainly will not do so. It's also the case that, as residents will know, the school budget came in, I think, at 1.3% increase, which is lower than previous year, and that hopefully Union County also will be below the 2% cap, which will be a very nice change. So things are trending in the right direction. It's no wonder that we had $25 million of investment in our town last year, because people recognize the value of coming to Summit. And we want to make that value increase for everyone who's here and who wants to come in here. So with that, I'll call a close, and we have to take a roll call. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox? Aye. Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Ms. Ogden?
Aye.
President Naidoo?
Aye. Okay, moving on. to the second resolution, 5662. Councilwoman Lipp.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution is to approve the budget for Summit Downtown, Inc., which supports businesses and property owners in our downtown. The tax revenues are collected from downtown business owners, and this budget was approved by the SDI Board at its last meeting. I move this resolution for approval.
Second.
Comments from members of council?
Is there anyone from SDI here to speak on the budget?
I believe there is.
good.
We'll wait till I hear what she has to say. You may have further comments or questions. Any other comments, questions from members of council before I open for public? Okay. Comments from the public. Claire, would you like to talk about the budget?
Claire Toth, T-O-T-H, 11 Sunset Drive. I'm here in my capacity as treasurer of Summit Downtown, Inc. And as was suggested, we collect revenues from, actually, it's the property owners in downtown Summit to support the property owners, the businesses, attract residents. We work with, council, we work with the city agencies. The budget, we balance our budget each year, and we've got a couple of new events coming this year. We've done a lot of events. We did Art and Cars last year, was a new one that went over very well. We're looking for a family fun night this year to bring younger families downtown. We're trying to get some music downtown, some summer evenings when there is not competing activity on the Village Green. There are fewer and fewer of those evenings available, but a lot of activity that are trying to get people, different people throughout the community, downtown, at times that aren't quite so busy, and so that there'll be more opportunity for merchants, for restaurants to be open, more use of them, and to tie the downtown more closely to the entire community.
Great, thank you. Anyone have questions for Claire in her capacity as treasurer? Okay, thank you, Claire. Okay. Anyone else from the public have any comments, questions? Seeing none, any further questions or comments from members of council? Okay. Call for a roll call.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox? Aye. Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Ms. Ogden?
Aye.
President Naidoo?
Aye. Okay, moving along. Finance and personnel, number 3.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution is to certify budget compliance requirements. This is a pro forma resolution. It's done every year, but in essence, the Division of Local Government Services annually performs budget reviews for municipalities. For municipalities that are in sound fiscal condition, of which we are lucky to be one of them, a formal review is only required every 3 years. In the interim years, those municipalities certify to the division that they themselves have reviewed the payment of interest and debt charges, statutory expenditures like Social Security, and library appropriations, and reserve for uncollected taxes. This resolution certifies that the city itself has performed the review as prescribed by the division, and I recommend your approval for this resolution.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Further discussion? Matt?
Sorry. City Administrator Rogers, you did the, you were the one that looked at this? Or Marge, you looked at this?
Yes.
You felt good about it?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Together with our auditors, also our...
Marge, if you're going to speak, why don't you come out? Sorry. Why don't you just repeat it so people can hear?
Marge Gerba. Yes, I review all of this together with our auditors. They also reviewed our budget. They agree we are in compliance.
Thank you.
Any further questions, comments? Okay, it's another roll call.
Mr. Bowman?
Aye.
Ms. Fox? Aye. Mr. Gould?
Aye.
Ms. Little?
Aye.
Mr. McTiernan?
Aye.
Ms. Ogden?
Aye.
President Naidoo?
Aye. Okay, I think we're done with the roll calling. On to Finance and Personnel number 4. Councilman.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution is to accept the 2018 through 2023 capital plan. And this goes along with the budget. Just to highlight a few of the things that we are set forth in that capital plan. This plan provides for state-of-the-art equipment for our police and fire departments, including air packs and bailout equipment for the fire department and license plate reading systems for the police, infrastructure improvements to the library and to City Hall, repairs to the Memorial Field tennis courts, and improvements to the field house, and many drainage, sewer, paving, and sidewalk improvements across town. This, as referenced earlier, our capital budget did see a 22% decrease from the previous year. A lot of tough decisions were made, and a lot of decisions were made about where our priorities were in spending for this capital budget. And I again want to thank all the department heads for really working with us to prioritize what they really needed for their departments. And I think this is an excellent capital plan, and I enthusiastically ask for your support.
Second.
Comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public?
Sorry.
Further discussion from members of council?
Thank you, Council President. I just have a question that's a bit small compared to the gigantic work you did on the capital budget, but it's important to me, is that I predict that the speed tables we're going to install on Woodland Avenue this year are going to be very popular, and that we may want to install more of them around town. Do we have enough money set aside to do this?
Yes, we'll have to manage it. We're not going to be able to do it in every street that wanted, but we'll manage it. But we have budgeted extra in anticipation of that potentially happening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mike?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
doesn't matter, one of us. I just want to congratulate these guys for doing it, but, capital is important, and I think Paul in the Public Works has done a great job with regards to the public roads, but also the equipment. And one thing I want everyone to hear is this past storm, we incurred, we did not incur the expenses that one community close to us did, which was close to $500,000 in the cleanup, whereas we were able to utilize our equipment and go with like $37,000 worth of overtime. So, that is a prime example of managing your capital, if you will. So, thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Paul. Mike?
I think, as Michael mentioned, these are a lot of tough choices, and I know, again, the department heads have to really sharpen their pencils, because they're really asked to prioritize what they absolutely need, what can be put off for a year or two, or maybe what they don't need altogether. And it is very, very difficult, because the wish lists are long. But I do think it's great to see, again, future years put out there. One of the things I know Council President Naidoo asked for last year, which would be great to have on this document too, is maybe the last year's capital plan. So maybe for next year, we could maybe do that. But because it is great to see what we spent in the prior year as well. But there's some big ticket items on here, and I think it's very, very important that while we're voting on this year's capital plan, I know that we don't look at this just in a vacuum, because what we don't maybe have to push back to next year, just you can't always just kick the can down the road. There are some projects out there that are going to have to get done eventually, and we saw that with the community center. Now, that thing got kicked down the road for 15 years. I don't know, depends who you talk to, but eventually, you have to do it. So you do have to manage this process, because as been alluded to, other areas of government don't do such a good job. You know, the sad truth is, it seems the only thing Republicans and Democrats can agree on in Washington is to spend our money. And they do a great job at that. You know, but at the state level too, the budget's a disaster too, because people stick their heads in the sand around pension obligations and healthcare obligations as well. So, you know, this is great that we're really looking at this. But, you know, our wish list is big, and people who want to look at this document, that the numbers are large if you expend out there. So this is something that's an ongoing process. I would encourage the public to look at these documents because there's a lot of good information on here and what may, you know, potentially be needed, and those are going to have difficult discussions on how we're going to fund them at some stage.
Thank you, Council President. I'd just like to second what Councilman Bowman said about the work, about Public Works and the efficiencies that have been achieved, oftentimes using capital equipment. So I just did Councilwoman Little and I both did a tour of the Works Garage, and we saw a lot of the needs and a lot of the equipment that is there, and, you know, learned a lot about the flexibility of the equipment, the ability to do different things, and just the planning and the thought that goes into this whole process. And not just in DCS, but in all the departments. I'm very impressed when I see how much thought goes into acquisition of equipment, planning, all of this. So I just wanted to thank all the department heads and everyone for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Comments or questions from members of the public? Any further discussion? Let me just say, again, this also, capital budget, this process actually started last year. In December, we had a workshop that the public was invited to hear presentations by each of the members of the different department heads to come in and give their proposals. From there, there's a process by which it gets pushed down, wilted down in some ways to where we are today. But Councilman McTiernan is right. This document tells you that there are projects that have been pushed further out years, in part because, you know, there's only so many things that you can do in one particular year or in the next year or what have you, and then you prioritize and you try to figure that out. But some things are big projects that are out there that we need to consider. The public expects us to have proper type of infrastructure. They expect us to have a certain quality to our services and our facilities, and we have to provide that. That's what the tax dollars are there to do. But I am very proud of the fact that we have a 22% reduction. It makes a big difference to people, and it makes a big difference to how much debt we're carrying. And we're going to do this every year, as we always have. Look at it carefully, figure it out, work with folks, and get there in a process that ends up to the benefit of the town. But this is a good capital plan. With that, call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay. Finance and Personnel, number 5.
Thank you, Council President. This is a resolution to concur the 2018 Board of School Estimate certification of required funds. This year, I was also proud to have served on the Board of School Estimate along with Mayor Radist, Council Member Fox, and Board of Education members Rick Hanley and Deb McCann. At the meeting last Monday of the Board of School Estimate, we did approve the school budgets. That budget also was very fiscally responsible and came in at a 1.3% increase, which is which I think is the lowest increase of any of the districts near to us, our neighboring towns, and really reflected a lot of careful thought on the part of the school district as well. So really took in the needs of residents in keeping the cost down while maintaining an extremely high quality school system. So I would move this resolution forward.
Second.
Comments from members of council?
I do have one thing I wanted to just point out. Under the Summit's a type 1 district, so the school board is appointed, and we have the Board of School Estimate that passes the budget. Under their law, if you're a type 1 district like we are, you have your board, no matter what the budget increase is, whether it's 0 or 3% proposed, you have to have a vote of the Board of School Estimate. If you're a type 2 district and your budget comes in at the Board of Education proposes a 2% increase or below, they don't have to have a vote in the community. So typically, but if they have 2.1%, for instance, they have to go out for a regular school board vote, a school vote. So a lot of the communities around us, since this law was passed 5-6 years ago, have been coming in at 1.9 or 2% like that, because they don't have to go to the community. And I think I'm very proud of our school board and our Board of School Estimate that they look at the budget and they come in where they need to come in, because they know no matter what, the Board of School Estimate is going to have to approve it. And they're not just automatically going to 2%, knowing they can do it without having the community's input. So I think that's something that we should be proud of in our community. We're one of the few type 1 districts in the state, and it's been generally very effective in Summit. So I just want to point that out.
Any other comments?
I just realized I did forget to thank Mayor Radis for sitting on the Finance Committee as well. I'm sorry for that oversight, and point out that the mayor and I have been immersed in budgets, as both the municipal budgets and the Board of School Estimate budgets, the school budgets. And across the board, again, I just want to reiterate how impressed I am with everyone involved with this process. It's been really eye-opening and really rewarding experience.
Mike?
You know, I just wanted to quick comment on the school budget. We just talked about our municipal budget. That's 20% of your property tax bill for the, roughly. The school budget is about 50%. So it's the biggest portion of our property tax bill. And I guess we're very fortunate to have a very professional, well-managed school system, and it starts with our Board of Education. Those people do a great job. They work very, very hard on this, but certainly our business office at this at school administration level, as well as our superintendent, they prioritize this, because I think we have a lot of reasons why Summit is a great city. Certainly, arguably, our school system is probably the #1 reason why people move here, and what really supports our property tax, or our property values in our community. So this is a fantastic budget. They make difficult decisions over there, just like we try and do here. It's not easy, and as I said, it's the biggest part of our property tax bill. So they do a nice job, and Lou Pepe, I don't know how he does it. He pulls stuff out of the hat all the time, but. He did it again this year with a 1.3% increase, which is pretty amazing.
Thank you. I have a question to Councilwoman Fox or Little. Full-day kindergarten is something that people in this community care about. Is my recollection right? What the school board was able to do this year was to reduce the cost for tuition for it?
That is correct. The tuition for the full-day kindergarten was decreased significantly, and Superintendent Chang has indicated that he's going to be submitting a report on the viability of instituting a full-day kindergarten program sometime later this spring.
Thank you. Any further?
I would add that Superintendent Chang did say that the target was for the 2019 school year, so.
For full-day kindergarten?
For full-day kindergarten, yes.
Thank you. Okay. Any comments or questions from members of the public? Further discussion by members of council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 6.
Thank you. Finance Resolution number 6 is the reappointment of City Clerk Rosalie Licatiz, and I am also very happy to move this resolution for approval.
And happily, I second it.
Okay. Any comments from members of council? I think, well, I'll just say it now, and then we can see members of the public or there's further discussion, but I will say that I don't think we as council can function without Rosie.
That is very true.
So it goes without saying that her incredible amount of patience with some of us, who shall not be named, is a testament to her professionalism and her ability to manage, a lot of different tasks. Everything flows through Rosie's office. And in order for us to have the meetings that we do and the ability to present to the public the information that we can, it is only because of her and her office. So we are indebted to her. Any comments from members of the public? Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next.
I just want to say thank you all for your support and your sense of humor.
Glad you appreciate it.
Beth, number 7, please.
Finance Resolution number 7 is the reappointment of part-time Deputy Tax Assessor Brian Flynn. He has been in this position. This is a reappointment, and he has received high recommendations from Marge Gerba and recommendation to reappoint him. So I would like to move this resolution for approval.
Second.
Comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Hearing none. Any further discussion, members of council? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Finally, number 8, finance and personnel.
Me again. This is Finance Resolution number 8, and this is to declare a vacancy in the Finance Department for a full-time senior account clerk. We have a senior payroll clerk who is retiring. I would note that we are declaring the vacancy for a senior account clerk. The intent is to hire someone at a more junior position. In keeping with the notion of fiscal responsibility that we keep talking about tonight, we did discuss whether this was a position that could possibly be taken over by other people in the department or be a part-time position, and it was decided on the advice of Marge Gerba and Michael Rogers that this is a critical position, that we really do need a full-time position. This is a position that all the employees in the city really rely on for their payroll, and that this is a position that needs to be refilled with another full-time person, but hopefully at a more junior level. So we will be realizing some savings on this position as well. So I move this resolution for approval.
Second.
Comments from members of council? Comments from members of the public? Seeing none. Further discussion, members of council? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We let Beth's voice settle. Yes. Moving on to buildings and grounds. Marjorie.
Thank you, Council President. Resolution 5647, authorizing the acceptance of public donations through Summit Area Public Foundation for Hometown Heroes banner program. So the Hometown Heroes program will honor current and former city residents and city employees who are veterans or active duty service members. Phase 1 of the project will recognize 100 heroes through the placement of 50 double-sided banners on city-owned light posts along DeForest Avenue between Norwood Avenue and Summit Avenue. The banners will be displayed from Memorial Day to the 4th of July each year. And the Hometown Heroes Ad Hoc Committee has raised funds through donations from the public with the help of the Summit Area Public Foundation. Those funds will be used to purchase banners and banner arms and brackets to display the banners. This resolution authorizes the acceptance of funds in the amount of $18,807.79 to fund these purchases for Phase 1 of the project. I'd like to thank the Summit Area Public Foundation for their assistance in fundraising, and I would like to also thank all the donors in the community who have generously helped fund this program. The city is not, there is no financial contribution on the part of the city. The city will be installing the banners and brackets, but we couldn't do this without the generosity of the public. And with that, I'd like to move this resolution.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. Comments from members of council?
Sorry, David.
Oh, sorry, Matt. Didn't see you. Sorry.
I know it's late, we've been here a long time, but I want to say one thing, because we've talked about Hometown Heroes for a long time. I'm very excited to see them up, and I just want to say, Marjorie, thank you so much for being the driving force behind this. I know that there's been a lot of other people that have done a lot of work, like our friend Mike Arline and Henry Bassman, and a lot of different benefit, people, but it really wouldn't have happened without you, so thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Any further comments? Comments from members of the public? I will say that I know, talking with Mike Arline, who brought this up to us, about 125 or so people have already made applications for it. As you guys all know, there's 100 people that can be put up this year, so we already have a waiting list for next year. I think it just shows the enormous support that it has in the community. And I will echo Matt's statement about Marjorie. I know that how hard you work behind the scenes as the council member to get this done with, of course, Mike Arline, Henry Bassman, and the folks in the committee, Frank Masiosi. There's a bunch of people, Karen Schneider, who have all been involved in getting this done. And so we appreciate all those folks who worked really hard in a very, very short period of time to get this accomplished. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Works. Steve?
Thank you, Council President. Resolution 5650 authorizes the execution of an agreement to permit 3 rectangular rapid flashing beacons to be installed on county roads. The intersection of Broad and Elm, Morris Avenue and Weaver Street, Morris Avenue and Audrey Street. These beacons have proved to be effective in making pedestrians more visible to motorists driving on these county roads. Additionally, they slow down pedestrians so they are less inclined to walking across the street without looking both ways. Pedestrian safety is everyone's responsibility. This resolution has confirmed that these installations on county roads, Broad Street and Morris Avenue are county roads, and Union County passed a similar resolution on March 8th at their freeholder meeting under Resolution 5236. 2 of the beacons have already been installed on Broad Street and Elm and Morris Avenue and Weaver, while the Morris Avenue Audrey intersection is anticipated to be installed late spring, early summer. I move we accept this resolution.
Second.
Thank you. Comments from members of council? Mike?
Well, I know these have been talked about in safety for a long, long time, so it's great to finally see them coming in, and I know there's a lot of coordination that has to happen with the county to make this happen. But these intersections are ones where you do have a lot of pedestrian traffic, and not just adults, but importantly, a lot of our younger citizens as well. So this is really important as these are very high-volume areas and are incredibly busy in certain periods of time in the morning and in the afternoon. So I'm super happy that are moving ahead and getting these things installed this year.
Great, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Councilman McTiernan said. One is right by where Washington School is, the other one is right where the high school is, and Oratory is. And so those are high-traffic areas for kids, but then you have basically a road that goes, it's a county road, it's a very major road. It's used for public transport as well. So these are really necessary safety devices. Comments from members of the public? Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. General Services, Mary.
Thank you. I will be quick, and this is the last of the night. This resolution is to set the 2018 fee schedule for the Department of Community Programs Recreation Program. This resolution is done every year to set forth the fee schedule. It is responsible for rec programs, rentals, scholarships, and sponsorships only. No major changes have been made to this schedule this year, so I would like to move this resolution at this time for approval.
Second.
Comments from members of council?
I just want to know, the Mermaid Boot Camp, it sounds awesome. Whatever it is, it's definitely worth the $60 fee. Yeah. Right. All right.
So Councilman McTiernan is going to be one of the mermaids, so we already know that. Okay. Comments from members of the public? Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Moving on, consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as so presented? Thank you.
Second.
There. All in favor? Aye. Okay, moving on to new business or council member comments.
I'm sorry.
Matt, there's nothing to be sorry about. This is why we're here.
So I saved this. I didn't get a chance to tell you in the closed session, but I'm glad I didn't in a way that in in our discussion of Hometown TV, I had brought up to them the audio issues that we were having in here. They worked with a consultant, and I think you'll notice it's been very wonderful sound. And so that's really good, very responsive on their part. And I suspect, although I won't know until later tonight for sure, that we solved the issue at home as well, because without that signal noise, it should be coming through a lot louder at home. So,
Good. Thank you. Really appreciate that. Steve?
So today I was going through my mail and I got a letter from the City Health Department just reminding everybody that it's time to renew your dog and cat licenses, and my dog costs me more money, and every week it seems like it's going out. But anyhow, just a reminder to everybody to get those licenses in.
Marjorie?
Thank you, Council President. I would like to also mention that that the City of Summit has been recognized as a Tree City USA for 2017. So we just received this notification on April 11th, so I assume it's done for the past year. But this Summit has been recognized as one of 3,400 tree cities, and we are being recognized for our making of the planting and care of trees a priority in Summit. So something that we can be proud of, and I know that the city works very hard to maintain our trees and to replace trees and plant more trees. So
Thank you.
We talk about volunteerism and earning, raising money to help our community and our foundations. I'm going to put something up on Facebook tomorrow, but there's a young boy in our community, an elementary school student, who has raised $90,000 for St. Baldrick's, which is a research foundation to cure childhood cancers. And just today, the culminating event was that he had his head shaved. So I'm going to put some pictures out, but that's pretty darn impressive to raise as a youngster. And he's been lobbying his friends and relatives and his parents, coworkers, and you name it. But I'm going to put him on the list for the Summit Educational Foundation down the road. But anyway, I just think it's really pretty impressive, and he's clearly learning from his community and his parents that giving back is really important. So that's all.
Thank you. That we will close with that really great story. Yeah. So with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much. Good night.